Tony, we're coming up to International Ideas Month. You and I love a good idea. We love brainstorming with each other, and I want to talk through the concept of ideas, where they're coming from. You and I love referencing children's books. I've taken this for
Yeah.
talk about it enough. But where ideas come from and what you do with that. Because I think this is one of the areas where, as new business owners, sometimes they struggle with this concept of I'm overwhelmed by the ideas. What do I do? So let's talk through this a bit.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most common things that I get when new business owners that come and say, I've got some great ideas, I just don't know where to go. And it's always amazes me is that some of the ideas they have are out of this world, but they're just not practical. They're literally out of this world. They're not practical at all. But they think, oh, that's bad when you say that. And they're like, oh, well, no, I didn't really think that. But actually, what you've done is fantastic. You've got that spark. Now we just define is, okay, how can we make that into a practical thing you can start moving forward? And I think the thing that they forget is ideas come from everywhere. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I usually have a wee dictaphone thing. Now with the mobile phone, you don't really need it so much, but I had this wee dictaphone I used to carry everywhere, literally fit in the palm of my hand. Nobody knew really what you were doing, but I could be stopping anywhere, go, oh, actually, I had someone walking past saying something, and a little saying, that sounds good, I know what I could do with that, and I would talk it in this, it would remind me to go back later and go back to this. And I think that's the thing is, for a lot of people, they try too hard to create an idea, instead of letting the idea create itself. That's the best ones that actually come.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I like the idea of developing a brainstorming board. So you sort of start with something and then see where it goes. But I find it very hard to do that alone. I'm very good with brainstorming with others because things spark. But what I also look at when I'm brainstorming and coming up with the ideas is letting them sit for a little bit and coming back to them, because often you've got this, as you say, you get excited by the idea, but actually in the next day or two, you need to sort of then look at the practicalities of. But I think dreaming is important in business. Lofty dreams, having goals. You've hopefully got a mission for your business. You know what you want to do. And then all the ideas can come out of that. So where do those ideas fit? Do you have a place where you keep them? As you say, a dictaphone's a great way of recording, but now we've got our phones. So I'm very guilty of this, that I come up with all these ideas, I pop them into a notes thing, and then 3 months later, I'm like, oh, I remember that. It's just trying to come back to them and giving them space to grow.
Yep, and I think that's the bit that's so important is the ideas a lot of people have get locked away. We always say that had this idea, but they don't put it down. And you mentioned a great word there. You talk about goals and dreams, and I have this with people all the time. They'll tell me their goals. I went, yeah, but that's not what I'm trying to get to. What's your dream? What is it you really, really want? And it's like, well, I don't know. I went, because goals are only the stages to get you to your dream. Some people call it destination dream. Begins with a D, whatever you want to call it. Get to the end point. See, when you really get to that, that's when the ideas start to come. And you're right. There's all different ways you can do it. You hear people talk about vision boards, where they cut out things. I know you get digital vision boards where I really would love that house, or I want this car, I want this. What people forget is that these vision boards are being creative. That's part of creativity, is you actually being able to do that, or a mind map, or a spider map, whatever people want to call them.
I love a visual map.
See, I've got a big whiteboard that sits right beside of me here,
Yeah.
and you put a little word in the middle. That's all I need is a word. Said something will stick with me. Someone says, "Go, I like the sound of that." I put the word there. What can I make out of that word? What titles can I make out of it? Nowadays, AI helps you to do that, because you sit and say, "Okay, right, I've got this word, type it into it." And what people try and do wrong for me a lot of the time is they talk to AI the way they want to do it themselves. Instead of just letting, that's a machine, it's a tool, let it do the work for you. So try and create everything, put all the things you've got together and say, look, can you review this? What can we create out of this? And have a conversation. People laugh at me because I say please and thank you to AI. And I get this all the time. I'll get it, my wife will do it when I do it with Alexa. I say, thank you, Alexa, that's enough for today. And she'll laugh at me. It's an inanimate object, it's a machine. I went, yeah, but have you ever watched Terminator? One day these machines are going to take over the world. They'll remember me.
I
That's
like
it.
my
They'll go,
friend has named
well,
her AI system because she has the conversation. She's she talks through the way that her mind is dumping the information
Yeah,
and lets the AI help her to sort it.
that's
And,
it.
and it might not come to anything, but at least you've got it out of your head. And I think when you go to meetings, when you go to any place where there's an opportunity to listen to others, the people with the notebooks are the ones that are looking to jolt ideas. When you're sitting there and listening, and then you're sort of looking out the window and you're daydreaming, you haven't really paid much attention, you know, that's the point where ideas can generate just from, as you say, someone saying something out loud, or you connect one dot to another. And sometimes you don't realize you've done it until later on, and then you're like, oh, writing it down is the simplest way to make sure that ideas generate, they develop. I'm very guilty of this. I have shower inspiration. So when I'm in the shower, that's when ideas ping at me. We've talked about this, I think, before in some of our setting up shop stuff, is where does creativity strike for you? And I think you talked about it. It's often when you're in nature, you get these wonderful, because your brain allows you the space to think. And but if you don't write it down as it's happening, the idea will be possibly lost. So I think that's also a very important point of as you're in your creative space, having a way of being able to document what's going on, because it might just be, as I say, joining a dot to another dot right then, but it might take you only a few days to then have a complete picture of what that idea could be.
And I think for me as well as music, whether it's outside or whether it's inside, I've always got headphones on. All different ones. No, these ones sit in the desk. I've got Sony ones I wear in the night time. I've got other ones I wear when I'm walking. And for a lot of the things that happen for me, it comes through music. I'll hear a song or a line of something. I don't remember ever hearing that line before, but it's triggers something. And I was talking the last couple of days about this. Is how many times we misrepresent the words of a song because we get our own version in our head. And then when you look at the lyrics and go, I've been singing that wrong for the last 10, 20 years, whatever it is. And it's because you've created something out of a tune maybe that they've got. And it can take, and I think that's the brilliant thing about creativity is you take the shower, it could be outside, it could be music, whatever it is. But always remember that if you have it as a dream because something you just thought of and you don't act on it, that could be somebody else's success
Yeah.
because you've waited. How many times have you heard this that people, that was my idea, and someone else has went with it because you didn't take the action? I say to people a simple thing: your dream is only a dream until you put it down on paper, and then it becomes a reality. And that's the thing I great about creativity, or the really good people who create. They put it down, they write it.
Yeah.
Songwriters are fantastic for that. You hear them saying it. There's a great one, I think it was a jam. I think it's That's Entertainment, one of their biggest ever hits. And it was Paul Willis said something that was like 30 minutes or whatever it was. It's some short like that to write that one song, to write the lyrics for that song. And I went, that's an amazing thing. It's just because things that are going on around about you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fantastic way of doing things is putting all these ideas down and just seeing what you can create out of it.
Yeah. And change your perspective. Like get out of your office, because I think often we sit in our offices hoping for inspiration to strike, and we're sitting here going, why aren't the ideas coming? And you're in the same space all the time. So by changing your perspective, I like sitting in cafes. Something and trains, my God, that was a
Yeah.
recent thing. I took the train down to Paris, and I spent 3 hours just writing in my notebook because things were just coming out of my brain that I was like, where did that come from? This is great. I then reread all my notes on the way back and reassessed what I was doing. But I think changing perspective, and when you're in employment, so if you're working for someone, you don't always get the chance to do that. But conversation with your employer about where you need space to come up with ideas and to be able to sort of have space to think is important. And I think those conversations can happen in places where you say, I just need to have an hour out of my environment to think and to start to see where ideas can go. Let people ask you questions. Yeah, just I think use the resources you've got around you to let ideas generate and flourish. But as we know with ideas, you really have to then start to interpret them as smart. So you're looking at whether they're time bound, what you need to do with that idea in order to make it into something deliverable.
And I think that's the thing, but that's the fun part of creativity. Not everything is going to become something that's tangible, but you might have 4 or 5 ideas. I did it yesterday with something I'm working on, and I had 5 ideas. I was putting them all down, couldn't see how it was going. I sat with it all in front of me, and I realised the reason I couldn't get it right, which one was right, because it wasn't one. It was a combination of all 5 that I needed. I just took little bits out of each and went, why have I not seen that? But the reason I did it was I kept them all separate. Then I put everything together just to look at them all so I could figure this out. I had all these different Word docs opened and gone, wait a minute, that goes better than that. Why didn't I do it in the first place? Which took me back to the board. If I'd started with the board this time, I would have got there a lot quicker. But I just did it in somewhere different, try something different. And I think that's the fantastic thing about creativity is just have a go. Just whatever idea comes to you, have a go, look at it and see. Because what's that saying? It was a song in the 1980s, probably give my age away, by a guy called Captain Sensible. I think it's out of something like South Pacific. If you don't have a dream, how is the dream going to come true? And that's where your creativity brings. Is have the dream where your creativity can take you and just go and try and find out where it goes.